Getting struck down by gastro is an awful, horrible thing. The nausea, the sweating, the vomiting, the fever, not to mention the stuff that comes out the other end. Across the country, gastro cases have hit a 20-year high. I wonder whether you've noticed that this year in your household. What's going on? Let's ask Dr. Michael Page. He's the president of the WA branch of the Australian Medical Association. Dr. Page, hello, welcome to Afternoons.
Good afternoon, Michael.
What's happening here? We've got cases up around the country, including in WA, but Queensland has had an incredible spike.
It really has. It's seeing really an unprecedented increase in cases of infectious diarrhoea, particularly caused by a little bug called Cryptosporidium, which is commonly contracted from swimming pools or also from food preparation where people haven't washed their hands well. But certainly in Queensland, we've seen a huge increase in cases. In WA, though, we've been affected too, and crypto cases are probably about 3 or 4 times higher to date this year than they were around the same time last year. So we're seeing a lot more of this bug crypto, as well as, of course, some of these other viruses that can cause diarrhoea as well that are there in the background.
Is there something about the conditions that we have at the moment that have led to this bug getting around a bit more than usual?
Look, we're not really sure, Michael, why it is that we're seeing so much Cryptosporidium at the moment. This is a bug that affects young children more than it does adults, certainly children under 10 or in particular under 5, and that's partly to do with their susceptibility to the bug, and also to do with the conditions in which it spreads. It's spread by by what's called the fecal-oral route, which I know sounds rather unpleasant, but all it really means is if it's present in faeces and someone hasn't washed their hands properly after they've been to the toilet and then they are involved in food preparation, or if someone who's had this illness is in a swimming pool before they've stopped shedding the bug, then everyone else in that swimming pool can become infected, particularly if they're all young children who, as I said, tend to be a bit more susceptible.
Yeah, so washing your hands, that's the key.
Absolutely, and anyone who's had a diarrheal illness should avoid going in public swimming pools or any shared swimming pool really for a good couple of weeks, because chlorine doesn't necessarily kill the crypto. The crypto forms little cysts that are very resistant to chlorine, or they can be. And so there's no guarantee that even a well-maintained swimming pool will prevent the transmission of these diarrhea bugs.
It is a horrible thing. It can be just so unpleasant, and often, I guess more often than not, we'd probably just write it out at home. But when do things get to the point where you should take yourself off to a doctor or to the hospital?
Look, that's true, Michael. These illnesses are usually pretty mild in the Australian context. We don't have these really horrible things like cholera. But nonetheless, people who have other medical conditions, who are less able to take care of themselves, less able to drink water when they become dehydrated, or anyone who's becoming severely dehydrated with diarrhoea, does need to seek medical assistance. Dehydration is the major risk with severe diarrhoea. So any child who's had diarrhoea and who is who's flat, who's highly irritable, who can't be settled, who or at the opposite end is flat and difficult to rouse, should seek medical attention. And those other signs of diarrhoea, like sunken looking eyes and those sorts of things, are the things to watch out for.
Dr. Page, thanks so much for joining us on the afternoon show.
Anytime, Michael.
Dr. Michael Page, president of the WA branch of the Australian Medical